Hey there, Rulers, DMO73 here, bringing you a showdown between Daltin on his Seiben Dark Tree list versus Paul and his first draft of Brandhart Maya. Let's go ahead and jump right in.
This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for products, and fowlibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists.
As well as our guest lecturer members, Vite Ramen and Darren Noblock.
Class is in session.
So as we get everything set up here with Paul on Brandhart and Daltin on Seiben, just a reminder that next month, the last weekend of October, is FowFest 2023. You saw our recent FowFest hype video showing off just some of the prizing, including this awesome FowFest 2023 edition playmat. Definitely hope to see you there. There's a link in the description to the Facebook event that has all of the information for where the event's going to be, what the side events are like, as well as how to get your registration and hotel taken care of. So we're jumping in here. One of the biggest things to note about this matchup just in general is that Paul has to find kind of one of two lines. He has to find a way to be able to turn off Dark Tree, which is helpful if you are playing Divine Lightning or Electra, or he has to find Instant Speed Burn. The Instant Speed Burn so that we can force Daltin to deck out. If he has things like Allosaurus from Alice Origins in his hand or anything else like that, it can be very difficult to make Tree run out of cards, and therefore it will just never die. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in here with game one. Daltin is going to be on the coin, and we'll see how it goes. Very interesting to see Dark Tree kind of come back in such a big way, but once again, even with a J ruler to support it, it's still causing the exact same problems of just kind of never decking out, and maybe even taking. We even had it at our locals last week where it just ended a game in game one with a draw, which was very interesting. We see that turn one Yggdrasil come down. It's a cool tool for these new Regalia rulers because these Regalia are quick cast, so it's a nice way to be able to kind of set them up. See a first turn conflict to stop that, as well as then a Callstone Pass from Daltin, leaving up Will to be able to punish whatever Paul's going to try to do here, which makes sense. Daltin is the control deck. But Paul has some tools of his own, doesn't necessarily need to go quick cast, especially with Protuberance being a quick cast Regalia, and so Daltin is just handed the turn right back from the red-green deck. Seeing if we're going to do anything before recovery, we could see a Regalia come down here, but it's going to be a bit before that card can go on contract, so it might not be worth the time. Just going to see a pass. At that point in time, we are going to see the Protuberance come down here. See that really cool card called Terminus of the Seven Kings. We're going to try to get a Seven King revealed. We're getting Faria. Faria on enter does ramp a stone into play tapped, which is pretty awesome. So turn it into a ramp spell and have a token on board to be able to threaten whatever Paul's going to try to do. Paul having that extra will from Protuberance here. Going to go ahead and try to cast a second Protuberance. Really just trying to go in here. Do see a second conflict coming down to stop the second Protuberance. I don't think that's too much of a big deal, especially since the will from the Protuberance would get stopped. Like it's going to go away. So that's not a huge card that I would think that you need to stop here. I would think that this would be the card that you would want to stop, being Flaming Thoughts, which is the card that really helps Brandhart kind of accelerate. Draw 3, discard 2. If you discard a Blazing Skill, you get to produce Will. The deck has a lot of Blazing Skills in it, and so you can just kind of keep cycling a little bit here. Like, that's the card that I would think that you would want to stop. A Conflict of Memory and Soul would be really good there, because it would also make it that Brandhart probably can't contract this turn, because right now we're at 3 stones, and a lot of Blazing Skills in the graveyard. So we're going to just be able to get right into a contracted Brandhart who's got Swiftness, can kind of start to go in. We get to see another Flaming Thoughts cast off of the first Flaming Thoughts will. Like, again, this is the cycling that we're going to see a lot of from Brandhart, and you need to be able to answer in this environment. Otherwise, you're in for a world of hurt. It's going to be a big deal. deciding once he wants to discard here. Discards a boy staring at. It does not count as a blazing skill, but does get to draw him a card. Did miss a trigger there, but I think they'll catch it, as in response to the Flaming Thoughts, you would have to burn something for 400 damage with the Brandhart, which we could burn the token or try to get 4 cards off of the top of Dalton's deck. We are going to go ahead and see, oh yeah, we should have done that before the Blazing Heart resolves. We get to hit 4 cards off the top, 2 Brads. That certainly is helpful for Dalton, because that's just going to go into his hand to feel better cards. Although we already have used 2 Conflicts of Memory and Soul, so not as good as it could have been if we had had those in hand already. Paul could swing in here. I think there's something to be said about swinging in, but also the trick about Tree is you don't want to give them too much acceleration in the sideboard or from their deck by swinging. So you kind of just want to like one-shot them, or like we said before, going into something like an Electra or just instant speed burning them to death. Dalton getting that Stone Call, gets a 4C. The Faria token does naturally have precision and is an 8/8 though, so it would have to get up to being a 10 in order to be able to answer the Brandhart. That's one way to do it. We see the Brad come in to try to add a couple extra counters onto the Faria so that we can move into combat. Gonna try to swing at the Brandhart with Faria. At which point in time, we're probably going to see something from Paul to be able to keep his Brandhart alive. Do, in fact, see a Blazing Storm, which is free because of how many Blazing skills he has in grave, and it is the first one he's casting this turn, which will then trigger Brandhart, and Brandhart can then kill the Brad. So Brandhart's going to kill the Brad. And then thinking about whether or not we want to let this Blazing Storm resolve, it's going to deal a lot of damage, 400 plus an additional 1400, so 1800, which is quite a bit. Question becomes, do we have an answer for it for Dalton? And we do, which is that Malefic Wind, where we get to reveal the 7 kings and try to cancel something. Now, one thing that's interesting for me with seeing Dalton's deck here is it makes me wonder how many of the corrupted 7 kings he has in his graveyard, because in this matchup, actually, playing Dark Tree is pretty solid because you can, if you get hit early and you hit a Rezard, you can like burn your life total to remove cards from Paul's graveyard, making Brandhart significantly less impactful overall. For just like life total that your life isn't going anywhere anyway, you might as well get rid of it. So tapping Stone for Dark Tree also just feels kind of weird. Paul having another Protuberance here saying, look, I got 3 of the 4. We're going to go ahead and cast, discard a a Boy Staring At, which draws me a card, produce a Will. Probably not going to do anything with that Will during the recovery phase. And then we're just going to go ahead and move out of there. Paul thinking about exactly what the line is here, knowing that we've got Dalton kind of on the ropes here with only one, does have access to the Godarts from Seiben, which can be certainly very helpful. Don't have anything terribly threatening right now, though. One Moonshade and one black-green. Just curious about what the hand is. We already know that there's Conflicts of Memory and Soul, but they've already been burned. We know there's Brads in hand. We don't really know much else. Choosing to discard the Welser. They're talking here about whether or not they could use the Will from Protuberance to do the Welser Goddard activation, and from what I am aware of, you cannot. Because it's only for the activated abilities of J/Resonators, and when you're in your hand, it doesn't quite count in the same way that it would for before. So Paul's telling me in the commentary, hey Jeremy, tell me if we're wrong, and you're wrong, Paul. There you go. So everybody in the comments, let's give some Keurig flexes for Paul being wrong. But we're gonna see Daltin trying to quick cast in a satellite maze in response to trying to contract during the recovery phase. And I think this is because Daltin did not quite understand that the restriction for these having quick cast is that you can't contract during your opponent's turn. So you can't really contract in response to a contract. That is the big limitation with these decks. They get an advantage here. We start to go to use the wild skill to pop the satellite maze in response to attempting to contract, and then the two of them catch very quickly. Oh wait, what are we even talking about? You can't contract at all with the Malefic. We're still gonna pop it just to get it off the field, but you won't even be able to contract successfully anyway. We're gonna flip into a Brandhart, but it will have done its job. Oh no, just choosing to not pop it in general. Well, I guess it's fine. It's wasted the will at this point in time. We have a Brandhart flipped over, and we're completely tapped out, so we can do some kind of cool stuff with going to 4 will, which is most likely going to be a free Electra, which at this point in time is going to absolutely kill Daltin. So we're going to use Burning Storm plus Wild Conquest to chain, to chain, not really doing much of anything there. Paul choosing to take 300 life for the Magic Stone of Reincarnation. And then thinking about exactly how we're finishing this off here, I don't know why Paul has an Electra in his hand. You're looking right at it. It's pretty easy to just say, oh yeah, we just play Electra and the game's over. Particularly because Electra says this card can't be canceled, and it also just means that while she's on field, damage can't be prevented. And so it's a guaranteed 1,600 from the burn. It's a guaranteed 1,600 from the swing, and another 1,000 from Brandhart, and that just kills Tree outright. So we get to go into game 2. Electra doing his job and just saying, look, we're gonna fell that great tree. We don't care about all of this replacement effect stuff. Just gonna kill you. Going into game 2 here, Daltin choosing to take the draw again. Maybe this time we'll recognize that the card to stop is Blazing Thoughts. We'll see if we can find the out this time. Speaking of, there's a turn 1 Flaming Thoughts. Do we see a cancel to stop it? There is the conflict, properly stopping that engine from getting going. Probably a good call. Burning Contract to do it doesn't feel great, but better than nothing, I suppose. Better than allowing the Flaming Thoughts to resolve and just kind of start the engine right up. Just going to move into a pass. Stone. Paul's saying, I don't need to take any proactive steps here. I'm just going to try to play during Daltin's end step and make him burn resources. Before I see a Lorite. Lorite's certainly very helpful against the Electra being able to cancel the burn effect. At the very least, you can't cancel Electra herself, so damage will still be prevented while she's on field, but better than nothing. Just an end of turn boy staring at into Protuberance. Do we have another conflict of memory and soul to stop the contract? Unfortunately, we do not. Burns himself with the Magic Stone of Reincarnation. Says that's fine. I do not care. My life total is not going to be going away very quickly. Not a lot of blazing skills. Blazing skills, we got 3. And we have 2 stones. Or 3 stones. So technically we're at a point where we can contract if we wanted to with Protuberance. We'd be kind of maybe walking into not the best setup where you're standing down 3 will. Not necessarily, and maybe if there's not a lot of follow through, it's just not the best like thing to keep going. Card I certainly did not expect to see in the main board. We have a World Tree Warrior. It's gonna get bigger right now. There's 3 in the graveyard, so one red does make it a +6/+6. That thing can get very big very quickly because of how quickly you can get a lot of blazing skills to the graveyard. Before recovery, we're gonna see a satellite maze come down here. Probably gonna try to head towards a contract this turn if at all possible. Which isn't a bad choice. I mean, if we can get to 5 revealed, this gets us to at least 1 revealed. If we can get to 5 revealed, then as soon as Brandhart enters the field, it dies. This also means that Electra is significantly smaller because she deals damage equal to her attack. So -10 means it's only 6/6. You know, so there are some advantages to putting a statning on the board against Brandhart. It's certainly keeping the kind of cyclone of extra damage from Brandhart himself off the board is also very nice. We do see Malefic Tree Ethereal. Second Malefic Tree Ethereal. These Ethereal tokens probably not going to do much good for us here other than just getting us to those reveals, which is what we want because we want to try to get to the ability to contract here. To see a Divine Lightning, we get a Conflict of Memory of Soul to stop it. Although, I question at this point that we're only at 3. I think we're only at 3 revealed. That's a problem here, is that we're only at 3 revealed, and we only have 3 stones, so we should be at seal 7. So I might have missed a reveal. You could let me know in the comments if I just missed something, but if we're only at 3 stones, Seiben does need to get to seal 7. So we're at 4 revealed now, and we have a -8 on the field, which is still helpful. It's not -10 though. That's the biggest piece. So let's see what we get into off the top here. Gonna see a Blazing Burst to try to shoot the Seiben off the board. It's 400 plus. Some extra damage for every blazing skill we have in this graveyard. This is, again, one of those reasons why I'm just like having a Rezard would feel super great. But Paul's doing a good job of just not attacking, right? That's a big accelerator or a big helpful thing for decks against trees. You just like don't accelerate tree for them by not swinging right away. You just kind of bide your time and be patient. Dalton wondering if we're going to see anything in response. We do see a Essence of Athena's Power in response to try to remove all of those cards in Paul's graveyard from the game. This is to make it so that we have fewer cards to be Blazing Skills, and thus Blazing Burst isn't going to do as much. Gonna float some extra will and attempt to contract here. Getting into a real big fight. Real big fight. And this is during Paul's main phase, which is not bad. Using Seiben's God's Art to be able to cast a Resonator free, we're going to try to do a Lorite to cancel the contract activate ability. And that's when we're going to see that Blazing Storm come down. We still have to pay at least some for it, I believe. Let's check and see how many Blazing Skills we have in Graveyard. We would have had to pay at least one. We only have 3 in grave. We would have had to at least pay 2 will for it. Oh, he used the 2 floating from the 2 stones that he already used to pay for the Blazing Burst or Blazing Storm here. So we get to remove every card from the graveyard here. That's going to remove every single card. And then we're going to hit there. Blazing Burn then resolves, misses. We whiff the contract, and then we just pass turn. So got a little bit of an opportunity here. Didn't take too much. Burned through quite a few resources from Paul, but we are going into that turn 4 turn, which is a problem. And we just burned through a Lorite. So let's see what there is here. A Sacrificial Altar, which would have been really helpful with those ethereal tokens. Just to be able to turn them into something like, I don't know, a Garion would have been pretty nice to be able to go into. Do we have something else to stop Paul here, or is it just going to be contract into another Electra to finish the game out? Burning through Brandhart's contract, or burning through the God's Art of Seiben to be able to replay a card is kind of a big deal. Down comes the Brandhart, gets to contract here. Pay 4. And down comes the Electra, which is just going to be the close of the game unless we have access to another Lorite somehow, which it doesn't look like we do. And that's going to be a big problem for Paul, or a big problem for Daltin, as that is just going to be, once again, no damage prevented. We're just going to shoot you and fell this tree in one fell swoop off of an Electra, and that will be the game. So just waiting for Daltin to extend the hand. There it is. Thank you all so much. We will have the deck profiles for both of these lists for the discussion up later this week. It's cool to be back and looking at Dark Tree lists, but let us know what you guys think in the comment sections down below. And until next time, this is DMO73 saying class dismissed.